Hey guys, how's it going? Joseph here. Welcome back to the channel. So about a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that there was this announcement by, this agency who's in charge of licensing HDMI to displays, to TVs or monitors. They announced that there's no longer going to be HDMI 2.0. Like everything is going to be 2.1. So obviously this confused a lot of people, or at least is confusing some regular consumers that are just aware that HDMI 2.1, it means that it has all these gaming features for next-gen consoles. And I'm talking about 4K 120 Hz, variable refresh rate, or FreeSync, or a Gsync, also auto low game latency, and EARC. Those are like the basic HDMI 2.1 features that we all know so far. And for the most part, this is what we're looking for next-gen consoles. Well, in this video, I decided to make things easier for you, so I put together the best TVs that you can buy this year right now for your next-gen console. I'm talking about for the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series S. So if you're interested in that, this video is for you. Welcome to the channel, guys. I'm Joester. Let's do this! Alright guys, so I'm going to start with the best that I think it just is. This is my opinion, okay? I'm going to start with the best, and then I'm going to go down, but the rest is going to be pretty much the same. It's just going to have some different features. So for me right now, the top TV that has every single feature is the LG C1 Oled, or pretty much the LG Oled TVs. So I'm talking about the C1, the G1, also the CX from last year, and the GX. And also you can go even back to the C9 from 2019, which was one of the best OLED TVs in my opinion. But the C9 doesn't have Dolby Vision 120 Hz support. But regardless of that, still one of the best TVs that came out that year. So obviously the most common feature is 4K 120 Hz. And this TV does support that, and it looks fantastic. Of course, you're getting the highest resolution possible, and the 120 Hz, you get the smoother gameplay. That's why a lot of people are looking for this feature. On top of that, it also supports 1440p 120 Hz. So just in case if you're using your Xbox Series X or maybe your Xbox Series S or also a gaming PC, you have the option to play within 1440p and 4K, which is great, especially for PC gamers. Another great feature is HDR and Dolby Vision support for gaming. Although there's just a few games that have Dolby Vision support, supposed to be, for example, Halo Infinite, I still think that HDR looks better. It's just that those games are not mastered in Dolby Vision. See, Dolby Vision is a dynamic HDR, so everything changes scene by scene instead of having a static image. So it's supposed to be better, supposed to be brighter, better color shades and everything. But I think for future games, which are going to be mastered in Dolby Vision, this is going to work great. So at least we are future proof for Dolby Vision gaming. And this is another great feature from this TV. We also have VRR, or variable refresh rate, available on the LG OLED TVs. There's also FreeSync Premium, there's also Gsync, and this is really good because this helps reduce or eliminates screen tearing and stuttering by matching the refresh rate from the content to the display. Now, in result, we get a smoother gameplay. Now, this is great because PC gamers have been using this for years. So I'm really happy to see this coming to consoles, or should I say the Xbox, because the PlayStation is lagging behind with Sony. But at least we have this on the Xbox consoles, and I'm really happy to see that many TV manufacturers are supporting this, either VRR or FreeSync Premium, or in this case, Gsync as well. Another cool feature that we're looking for is ALLM, or auto low latency mode. I call it auto game mode for short. But this is really cool. So imagine that you're watching a Netflix show on your console, and then all of a sudden you just want to switch to a game, right? Automatically, auto low latency mode will switch to game mode, so that way you get the lowest input lag possible. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it manually. Sometimes you forget. Sometimes you're just playing your game and you realize that it feels laggy, it feels sluggish, it doesn't feel the same. So auto low game latency mode is available on this LG C1 Oled, and that is great. So another thing I like about the LG C1 Oled is that all HDMI ports have HDMI 2.1 features. or at least all of them have all those gaming features. 4K 120 Hz, variable refresh rate, EARC support. So that means that you can connect your Xbox, your PlayStation 5, even your PC if you have one of those new PC with HDMI 2.1 features. You can connect all of them, and on top of that, you can connect like a soundbar or maybe your sound system with Dolby Atmos, and without messing around like unplugging one and plugging one in, because all of them have all those gaming features. So that's really, really cool. And now that I mentioned EARC, that's another feature that is for high definition audio. That way you can get the best Dolby Atmos or DTSX when you're watching movies, or also Dolby Atmos when you're playing video games on your Xbox Series X. So that's great. That's why for me, the LG C1 Oled or also the G1 are the best TVs for gaming. Besides that, they look amazing as well. Now, other TVs with HDMI 2.1 features, that will be like the QN90. That's the one with the mini LED display, and also the Q90. So the only downside with these TVs is that they only have two HDMI 2.1 ports. That means that you can connect both of your consoles, but unfortunately one of them is the one with the EARC, the audio return channel, which honestly, I don't know why these companies, they keep making this same mistake. Instead of using another port for EARC support, they use one of those with a full bandwidth, right? So that way, if you want to connect, for example, both of your consoles, you can. But if you want to connect your soundbar or maybe your sound system with Dolby Atmos, you're gonna have to disconnect one of those consoles and connect the soundbar right there, which I don't know, it's really silly. They can easily use another port, but they decided to use one of those two ports. All right, guys, so now let's move on to Samsung, and Samsung does have a few TVs available. I'm going to start with the mini LEDs, which is the QN90A. That's the top of the line. That's the Neo lineup. And then there's the QN85A, which is similar to the 98, but this one has an ADS display, which is similar to an IPS, but with better black levels. And there's also the Q80A and then the Q70A. Yeah. So all these TVs do support 4K 120 Hz, variable refresh rate, FreeSync premium, auto low game latency mode, even 1440p 120 Hz. All these TVs have these features, but the only downside, actually there's two downsides from Samsung that in my opinion, there's only one port that has all these features. That means that if you have both consoles, you're gonna have to like unplug one and then plug the other one in order for you to utilize all those features. And another downside I see about Samsung is just there's no Dolby Vision support. So if you like Dolby Vision for movies or maybe for gaming, for future proofing your Xbox, well, Samsung is obviously not the way to go. There is HDR10 Plus, which is something similar to Dolby Vision, but it's very limited. There's hardly any content that support HDR10 Plus. There's going to be supposedly gaming for that as well, but we don't know yet. But besides that, Samsung TVs are great for gaming. They have low input lag. The picture looks beautiful. They have the brightest panels available, so HDR does stand out compared to other brands. You can use this TV anywhere, in a bright room, in a dark room. They're really, really good TVs. Alright, so now let's move on to Hisense, and that's the U7G, and they also have the U8G, which are the premium lineups. Actually, the U7G is more aiming towards gaming, and both of these models, they do have two HDMI ports with all those features, 4K 120 Hz, variable refresh rate, including FreeSync, and also 1440p 120 Hz. The only downside is that one of those HDMI 2.1 ports turns out to be the EARC, or the audio return channel. So if you want to connect your soundbar and your sound system, you're gonna have to sacrifice that. It's a really annoying situation. The other negative I see is that there is no Dolby Vision for gaming, or there's no game mode for Dolby Vision. You can use Dolby Vision if you want to, but the input lag is going to be super high. It's almost impossible to play if you want to use Dolby Vision. So honestly, right now it doesn't really matter. HDR looks so much better, but for future reference or future proofing your gaming, this TV doesn't have Dolby Vision game mode. Alright, so let's move on to Vizio TVs, because believe it or not, Vizio also has TVs with full HDMI 2.1 features, and I'm talking about the P-Series and also their OLED TV, which I think is called the H1. I did a video review on that OLED TV from Vizio last year, and it had really good picture. Now, the only downside about this Vizio TVs is that they only have two HDMI 2.1 ports. Same problem with other brands. Regardless of that, Vizio TVs have amazing picture quality. They're very, very bright displays. Vizio also has this M series models, which they do have some HDMI 2.1 features like Freesync Premium and auto low game latency, but they're limited to 60 Hz, so there's no 4K 120 Hz support. Alright, so let's move on to Sony, and Sony does have many different models that support, at least has some HDMI 2.1 features like the X90J, the X95J, even from last year, the X900H, also the OLED lineup, the A80J and the A90J, which honestly, let me tell you firsthand, Sony has some really amazing picture quality, especially on their OLED lineup. But what I don't like about Sony is that they're lagging on their gaming features, because these HDMI 2.1 features, they only have 4K 120 Hz support. I mean, I think in last year on the X900H, they do implemented VRR, but it came out with some problems. There were some issues. And so I think they're waiting for another update. I don't know. I don't have my X900H anymore. So if you do, let me know in the comments below if it's working properly. But besides that, Sony, it's just lagging behind HDMI 2.1 features. So there is no variable refresh rate, there is no FreeSync or Gsync, there is no 1440p support, 120 Hz. So basically you're just getting 4K 120 Hz and EARC, and that's pretty much it. Besides that, if you don't care about those other features and you just want 4K 120 Hz, Sony does have that available in the models that I just previously mentioned. But another thing is just they're only limited to 2 ports. And it's the same deal as other brands. There's only 2 ports with 4K 120 Hz, but one of them has the EARC support, audio return channel. That means that you only have pretty much like 1 port if you don't connect in a soundbar. So finally, we have also TCL with the 6 Series TV. Now keep in mind there are 2 models from TCL with the 6 Series. There's one with the Roku operating system, and there's another one with the Google operating system. And the one that you want to get if you're a gamer, go for the Google, because that is the one that has 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, and both of them support 4K 120 Hz, variable refresh rate, 1440p 120 Hz, auto low game latency, EARC. And also one thing about Vizio is that they do support Dolby Vision for gaming, but it's only limited to 60 Hz. No Dolby Vision 120 Hz. But at least you're getting Dolby Vision if you want that. So another thing, downside or negative about Vizio is that there's only 2 ports as well, HDMI 2.1, and one of them is going to be the EARC support. So if you have both consoles, you know, blah, 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 you know what I'm talking about, right? So with TCL, there's only one place like they sell it, and that's a Best Buy. And there used to be this problem with Best Buy. They just stopped selling that model from TCL, but it looks like it's back. And actually their prices are very competitive. The 55-inch sells for like $600 or $700, and the 65-inch sells for $1,000. And I know there's going to be some specials later on when Super Bowl comes in. So if you're waiting for a TV or you're looking for a TV that is less than $1,000, then TCL is a great option. Also Hisense is a great option. But if you're looking for the best of the best, you're looking for the Ferrari of TVs with HDMI 2.1 features, I will go for the LG C1 Oled. So that does it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below which is the best feature, or the feature that is you're always looking for when you're buying a TV. Is it 4K 120 Hz? Is it variable refresh rate? Is it a Dolby Vision, EARC? Let me know in the comments below which one is the best feature for you. I'm Joester, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Joester out.